Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
There's always a party in Montana, whether you're going to a wedding, a football game, a concert. Montana Party Bus can get you there safe and will take you anywhere in Montana. You can relax with friends in style, luxury, and safety. Western Montana based for local and regional travel within Montana borders. Montana Party Bus is great for both large and small groups with a capacity of up to 30 guests. If you want to elevate your event, call them anytime, 406-200-8096. You can also visit mtpartybus.com. Travel anywhere in Montana in style with the Montana Party Bus. We're catching up with an old friend with the Big Sky Conference Game of the Week on the horizon. Mitch Strohman, been the play-by-play man there for as long as I can remember at Arizona. And they host Montana State on Saturday in the Big Sky Conference Game of the Week. Mitch, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Colter, it's great to see you. I haven't talked to you for a while. Thanks for having me on. Do we have a big football game Saturday in Flagstaff in the Sky Dome? What are you talking about?
I feel bad because I wanted to make the trip so bad, and then it's my 20th high school anniversary reunion, and I got talked into emceeing it. And apparently, I'm the only one that none of the guys in my class want to participate or want to contribute to this. All the gals are the ones making all the plans and doing all the stuff. So I felt like I was obligated to help out the alma mater outside. We make my way down there, but it should be fun, and we'll certainly have full coverage for you. Give people just sort of the broad scope there, though, at Northern Arizona. It's been so interesting to see the way that all of these varying athletic departments have evolved, the way that the Big Sky Conference has evolved. Where do you see Northern Arizona right now? Not just in football, but in general, in terms of just the spot that it occupies in the Big Sky Conference and also just in the Western United States?
Well, going upwards for sure is the very, very, very short answer, Colter. A trajectory on the rise in the Big Sky Conference. The university is clearly invested in the athletic department and done so with facilities, infrastructure, the type of stuff, bricks and mortar that is necessary in this day and age of Division I college athletics to compete at a championship level. You got to have the facilities, right? We have a world-class sports medicine and athletic training facility now at NAU that's been open for the past couple of years. Was a real feather in the cap for our former athletic director, Mike Marlowe, who got that facility built. It's superb. And when I say world-class, I'm not being hyperbolic. It is world-class. And, I think since Mike Marlowe retired and turned the keys over to the athletic department, over to his number one guy, Yuri Farkas, it's been a smooth transition. The leadership at Northern Arizona University relative to athletics is as good as it gets, I think, in our world. We have a coach at the football level, since we're kind of talking about football mostly at this point, but we have a head coach and a staff at the football level that was brought in a little over a year ago to change the entire paradigm of lumberjack football from the ground floor up. From the foundation up, as in replacing the foundation and then building that new foundation and then building the structure on top of that foundation. And he has done so in strikingly fast fashion. We're a relevant football program going into Saturday, as you well know, ranked number 13 in the country, Montana State number 5. This is going to be only the second time in 7 years-ish, roughly, that 2 top 20, and in this case top 15, right? But 2 top 20 football teams are playing a football game inside of the J. Lawrence Walkup Sky Dome in Flagstaff. We just haven't had that happen a lot. Most recently, we had it 2 weeks ago when UIW came to town. And that was a kind of a watershed moment. Here we are. I mean, we got 2 top 20 football teams going head to head in the Walkup Sky Dome. Haven't had that for like 7 years. So, and then 2 weeks later, here we are again. Top 15 teams. So the trajectory, in answer to your question, is on an upward swing, Colter. There's a great deal of excitement about NAU Lumberjack football and all Lumberjack sports, quite frankly. And the relevancy of Lumberjack athletics, I think, within not just the Big Sky Conference, but also throughout the Southwest, certainly in this part of the country here in Arizona and this Southwest sector of the country, we're becoming relevant. And relevancy is what matters. If you're relevant, that puts butts in the seats. It puts eyes on your product on ESPN Plus, ears on your product, hopefully with the Lumberjack Radio Network. A little pride there, obviously. And also support in terms of people writing the checks, because you have to have that now in this day and age of NIL. The money has to be coming in. If you want to be a championship football program or a championship athletic department, the money has to come in, and that is coming in. So I think really the trajectory is a going upward, and it's going upward pretty quickly and pretty sharply, Colter.
Well, I was so interested to see there was like this fracturing point, right? With the pandemic and then all these various different factors that were the byproducts and sort of side effects of that. And the who's who and the who's not became a very real thing in Division I athletics. And I was so interested to see how that worked in the FCS and in the Big Sky Conference. And you had to kind of think that the Montana schools would continue to be who's who just because of their ability to drive revenue with the amount of tickets they sell and the size of the stadiums and all that sort of stuff. And you're sort of leaning Idaho would probably be in the upper echelon too, just because of the fan base and stuff. I was so interested. And you thought I'm not going to say all the names, but there's a lot of schools I thought, okay, those guys are going to fade from the pack and they're going to have a hard time keeping up because of the stratification that we've seen. NAU was the one that I was the most interested in. Which way is it going to go? And it makes me very happy to hear that there is people that are donating money and that there's NIL efforts and that, the passion and fervor remains and is growing. And I mean, so much of that has to be because you have a stud head football coach that's sort of driving the train right now, right?
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Across the board, Colter, football drives the bus, right? I mean, come on. I think we can both stipulate to that. In college athletics, football is the driver right now. That's where the revenue comes in. That's where the support. Everything stems from football. So having that solid and relevant football program that we now seem to have in place in just a year and a quarter of Brian Wright as head coach is a big foundation of what you are saying and is a difference maker. At the same time, it's interesting. You see, you talked about the stratification. That's a good way of putting it. There are the haves and the have-nots. That's no secret. When it comes to college athletics, it's true not just at the FCS level, Colter. It's true at the FBS level. They're the haves and the have-nots.
Yep.
And you'll always have that, I think, within the structure of how this is set up moving forward. You are going to have programs, conferences that are going to want to have that power and hang on to that. And they'll do everything they can to make sure that they retain that power. And then you'll have other schools that wish they could be there but struggle to get there. And then you'll have schools kind of in the middle a little bit that could go either way. And I think where NAU is going right now, and to kind of follow through on what you're talking about, is pretty darn good. We're in a good space. We have good support, and we're building it, I think, every single week. And yeah, football helps when we're winning football games, and we're winning them, and we're putting ourselves on this football program in a position to legitimately compete for a Big Sky championship, for a playoff appearance in the FCS party. Those things matter. Coach Wright will tell you, and he'll say it 1,000 times, they want 2 trophies. They want a Big Sky championship trophy, and they want a natty, a national championship trophy. Other trophies are nice in trophy games, right? But what matters are those 2 trophies and those 2 trophies only, ultimately, at the end of the day. and they believe in that. You can see the results on the field. We went to the playoffs last year for the first time in many years, won 8 games for the first time in many years, all in Brian Wright's first season. And here we are at, this point in the season, 4-1, ranked number 13 in the country. Eyes are on Flagstaff, and they should be. It's fair and legitimate. And it's not just because the 5th-ranked Montana Bobcats are coming to town. That's a reason for it, sure, but it's not the only reason. The other reason is because there's a really good football team in Flagstaff right now, and people want to see good football teams play other good football teams, and damn it, we're going to have that on Saturday. 2 good football teams that are going to go head-to-head in the Sky Dome.
Another day, flavorless forage.
What in the heck is this magic? It smells intriguing. Could this be the answer to my lifelong struggle against bland wilderness cuisine? Okay, deep breaths. Don't get your hopes up, big guy.
Finally, a meal fit for a famished Bigfoot. Thank you, Alpine Touch. My Rocky Mountain adventures just got a whole lot tastier.
Last big quick picture question. You mentioned the facility upgrades there at Northern Arizona. That's obviously a huge part of modern day college athletics. And, NAU, I know we were talking off air, but enrollment may be down a little bit, but there's still a massive enrollment there too, I think, which helps boost up, interest as well as just, the future of the athletic department and all that sort of stuff. And now with Brian Wright being in place, it seems like that was, like I say, a missing piece, but certainly something that could help Northern Arizona in their continued acceleration. So what do you think is just sort of the overall potential now of the football team and the athletic department in general, given that we've talked about this over the years? Flagstaff's a sweet town, so you don't have any sort of drawbacks when it comes to recruiting the community. As some Big Sky towns, not as fun as Flagstaff. Flagstaff, I think that's a place people want to go. They want to hang out. They want to go to school there. But then you add in the facilities, then you add in some great leadership in the football front. So what is the potential? I mean, Brian Wright, you said Big Sky national championship aspirations. Is that realistic at Northern Arizona?
Yeah, I believe it is. I do. I think the potential is pretty much sky's the limit, honestly. You mentioned some of the reasons for that, and some of those reasons have been in place forever, right? Flagstaff, location-wise, beautiful part of the country. Up in the mountains at 7,000 feet above sea level. 2-hour drive from the 5th largest city in the United States. I say that again, the 5th largest city in the United States, Phoenix, Arizona. A huge population center, obviously. A short drive to the California coast in Southern California and those population centers. It's positioned in a really, really good place geographically. And it's surrounded by a lot of population, right? So that means potential exposure and support, and also great recruiting base. We can recruit from a variety of different major metropolitan areas, from Albuquerque to the east, all the way to Salt Lake City to the north, and Las Vegas, the LA, San Diego area, Phoenix, Tucson. All of those areas are within a throw of a stone across the pond from Flagstaff. So those things are in place. Great climate, great environment, just like Bozeman, just like Missoula in Montana, just a great quality of life to have if you're in Flagstaff. A university that academically is just next level performance in our cohort, in our group of universities that are all kind of related to each other in terms of their size and dynamics. A great academic institution with really beautiful facilities. So all of those things are most definitely in place. And if you use the sports metaphor that many people like to use, that athletics and sports is a front door or front porch to your university, when you start having that front door and porch welcoming, great curb appeal, right? And even better when you walk up on the porch and look at that front door and look what's on the other side of that front door, you're positioned to grow, and you're positioned to have championships potentially start to, be achievable on a regular basis, not as an outlier, right? Last year, take that for example. 8 wins last year. And for folks, obviously, in Montana, 8 wins, well, yeah, that's normal for you guys. In fact, it might not be it might be considered maybe not such a great season if it was just 8 wins.
No doubt.
But for us, it was significant. It really was. And it put us on the map and going to the playoffs. And yeah, we lost that first round game, but we were in the playoffs. And now people are saying, holy cow. And I hear this all the time, Colter, all the time. What are you guys doing up in Flagstaff? Well, what we're doing is pretty simple. We're winning football games, and we're playing a brand of football that's appealing to watch. It's fun to watch our guys. It's fun to watch NAU football. I mean, I know I get it. I've got a little bit of a vested interest in that, and
Totally.
I love calling the games, right? It's fun for me no matter what. But I can sit here and be honest with you and say the kind of football I'm seeing visually on the field and I'm calling right now for NAU is much different than it was 3 years ago. It's a whole hell of a lot different than it was 8, 9, 10 years ago. It's legitimate Division I, upper caliber FCS football, and that's the front door. That's, has that potential to send us, as in your question, what's our potential? It's unlimited.
Mitch Strohman joining us, talking all things Northern Arizona. The Lumberjacks host Montana State on Saturday in Flagstaff. I'm not surprised. Not surprised that Brian Wright is doing what he's doing. I got to know Coach Wright years ago when I was still in the newspaper business, working at the Bozeman Chronicle and covering Montana State. And Brian Wright was the offensive coordinator when I first moved to town. And I loved his offense. Didn't get a chance to spend too much time with him because he was then out the door and climbing the coaching ranks and all that. But the entertaining brand, I think you knew that was going to happen. Just in my time observing Northern Arizona football too, I thought that Jerome Sauer's a guy I always loved talking to. He's a great storyteller. He's a wonderful man. And he always had great talent at certain spots, but there was a consistency that eluded Northern Arizona during that whole regime, especially towards the end. And then Chris Ball, he came in with this dynamite resume, and I just thought that they were sort of all over the place in terms of determining what their identity was. They always had dudes, but it was kind of like, okay, what are you? Your defensive team or your offensive team? Who's doing what? And they would have these big wins, like when they beat Montana a couple of years ago down there in Flagstaff, but then they'd have these fallouts afterwards. And that's the thing to me that stuck out. And I thought Brent Vigen pointed this out very eloquently in his press conference on Monday. He said, hey, the thing that you notice about Northern Arizona is they have consistency. They have consistency in identity, consistency in operation, and they have now a consistency in being able to finish games. So just tell us about that element. How much has just the steadying, because Wright is such a steady guy, right? Like his personality, that's just what he is. He's a very tempered, even-keeled type of guy. It seems like that personality is directly reflected in Northern Arizona's results here early on.
Yeah, Colter, you keep hitting the nail on the head, man. You're so right about that. And on the record, I love Jerome Sowers and Chris Ball and miss them both personally quite a bit. But you're right. I think your characterization of those inconsistencies with the program and the inability to, take that program to that extra level, that next gear that would put NAU in a position to be an annual contender for the playoffs, that was the missing piece. And it's actually bizarre to me that any coach could come in to a program that was kind of taken down to the studs after Chris Ball left. I mean, really taken down to the studs. There was nothing left of the program's paradigm at all. Most of the roster was turned over going into Brian Wright's first year. He came in with a completely different approach to how the football team actually operates on a day-to-day basis as a program, right? Not even the football, the X's and O's part, but how they get up in the morning and structure their days.
Sure, right.
That's how fundamental the change was in year one of Brian Wright. And to see how quickly the results happened speaks volumes about the quality of the man at the head of the program and the people that he brought in with him, Colter, to surround himself with on his coaching staff, his support staff, strength and conditioning, nutrition, all of those things, all of those non-football elements, if you will, that are so critical to the health of a football program. He brought in all the right people. And if you want an example of how that translates into practical results, here's a nugget for you. And you probably know this, I'm guessing, but maybe you don't. But NAU was the only football team in the Big Sky last year to have all of its coaches, all of them, the assistant coaches, come back this year. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. In this day and age, that's not normal. I mean, you do well in a season, and other schools are out there lurking about wanting to come and grab that guy from you. Oh, I want that offensive core. I want that DC right there. Oh wow, NAU had some good running backs last year. I want that running back coach. So you have a lot of pressure coming from other programs that want to take what you have and bring it into their program. That didn't happen last year. The entire staff came back, and I think it shouts volumes. Doesn't speak volumes. It shouts volumes about the trust that those coaches have in their boss, the trust that the players have in the coaching staff, and the way the program is designed to operate. Because we had a lot of our key players come back, guys like Ty Pennington, guys like that, and then going into the portal and being able to find some real nuggets in the portal from last year to this year in terms of personnel. That's I think says all you need to hear about the health of Lumberjack football as a program in Flagstaff.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
I have a theory about this too, because there was this everything in college athletics and everything in sports really is cyclical. Like there was this moment in men's basketball where almost everybody in the league wanted to hire the hotshot, slick recruiting assistant from a big school. Northern Arizona had it in Jack Murphy. Montana State had it in Brian Fish. Montana had it in Travis DeCure. But the difference with DeCure is that it was his alma mater, and he was kind of coming back home, instead of trying to hit the big home run. But Todd Simon at Southern Utah, and there was all these guys that had these big time jobs. They brought all these recruiting connections. They came in, and it had middling results. Then in the Big Sky in football, you had same sort of dynamic because Jay Hill was so great at Weber. I mean, Jay Hill brought Weber in to be one of the powers. I mean, they were arguably the best team in the 2010s, other than probably Eastern Washington, and they sort of were over Montana State for the first time in a long time. I think though we've seen a lot of the Chris Balls of the world that have come in and had middling success. I think the guys that come from a lower level to the Big Sky, I think there's a lot of dynamics that go into them having a great plan, a great ability to maximize resources, a great ability to mitigate and sort of manage disadvantages. And more than anything, though, I think they also have a vast appreciation for where they're at. I think that sums up Brian Wright's staff big time. So what do you think of my theory?
I think your theory's got some real soundness to it, honestly, Colter. And Brian Wright specifically, he's a unique person in your theory because Brian Wright, he's coming up to NAU from the Division II level, where he was. And for your viewers and listeners, 4 years he was head coach at Pittsburgh State in Kansas, where he had just phenomenal success for 4 years. Division II though, but prior to that, right, he was an offensive coordinator and even an interim head coach for Florida Atlantic in the big boy world, in the FBS, right? He coached at Toledo. He's coached obviously at Montana State, so he's already been at the Big Sky FCS level. He has the high level coaching experience from both FBS and FCS. He just happened to have his career track take him to a Division II school for 4 seasons after he didn't get the job in Florida as the head coach. And he's got that perspective now from the levels as low as D2, right, to FCS, to FBS, and he brings all of that experience to the table to this job in Flagstaff. And you're right. I think there is something to be said for that change a little bit in how schools are approaching looking for a head coach. Clearly, when Mike Marlowe hired Brian Wright, home run. Results matter, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. You have to win football games. And you have to have a product that people want to be associated with, whether it's just simply buying a ticket on game day and bringing your wife and kids into the Sky Dome or in the Bobcat Stadium to see a football game, that type of support, or more intimate support where you're a booster and you're dropping checks and you're using that credit card online to make your contributions to whatever NIL organization your school is doing. And that's also happening. And I think your theory has, it's grounded in some pretty good reality, brother.
Well, huge test then for Coach Wright and the Lumberjacks on Saturday with a team that, has won 2 out of the last 3 Big Sky titles and played for the national championship the last, 2 out of the last 4 years. Just your thoughts on Montana State coming to town. What's sort of the environment like there in Flagstaff? How excited is Northern Arizona just as a university to have, a top 5 team in Flagstaff on Saturday? We last week we played at Portland State, and an 0-4 team that's really struggling right now. And you go into a game like that a week ago, and you wonder, okay, are the Lumberjacks going to be focused on the Vikings, right? And not look ahead to Montana State? And they clearly were. They won the game by 2 touchdowns, got their business handled. So it sets up, as you're saying, a classic. It's Big Sky game of the week, one of the top FCS games in the country this week, and it should be number 13 versus number 5. All the other intangible dynamics that you just mentioned about Montana State. Listen, they are the championship in Big Sky football until proven otherwise goes through Bozeman. Period. They're the defending champs. Ran the damn table last year. Went to the national championship game and gave the Bison everything they could handle. And look where they are right now. They're reloading. The Bobcats have lost, obviously some key players like Tommy Millott and others, but they're reloading. And they are playing a football that is worthy of top 5 in the country and worthy of votes to be the Big Sky champ again, back-to-back in the preseason polls. The personnel are there. Brent Vegan and his coaching staff, remarkable job, unbelievably good. And here it is in Flagstaff. That's what's so cool about this one. We're playing this, Colter, we're playing this game in Flag, right? I mean, not that I wouldn't want to call, and I love calling games at Bobcat Stadium because that atmosphere is just lights out so great, but to have a game of this import in our house, in the Sky Dome, and ticket sales are going nuts. We sold out our last game against UIW 2 weeks ago. They're getting close to selling out this game on Saturday against the Cats. Having that kind of an atmosphere in Flag, weather's going to be great for tailgating outside the dome. We're going to be, right around 70 degrees and clear skies up at 7,000 feet above sea level. All of that I can't wait for this because this is what we have been waiting for so long. Games like Saturdays between Montana State and NAU in the Sky Dome. And it's going to be like that for back-to-back weeks. We had the same kind of atmospheric 2 weeks ago against a UIW team that came in, right, at that time is ranked number 13, number 14 in the country. So game on. Let's get to Saturday and play this game. It's going to be a big challenge. Look at Montana running game again, 200+ yards game on the ground. You guys have reloaded at quarterback. Your running backs, your passing game is lights out good. Amazing offensive line. Where are your weaknesses?
Not seeing a lot of them, as in none right now. And that's what you want to have, right? You want to have two teams that are really playing some good football, that are ranked. There's playoff implications on this game. There's Big Sky Championship implications on this game. There's at-large resumes at this game if a team has to go at-large into the playoffs. I mean, all of that on the line, and here it is. We're only starting October, and we're playing a game like that in Flagstaff. Whew! Thank you. This is making my weekend for sure.
Well, it's going to be a great opportunity for a display of everything that Flagstaff and Northern Arizona has to offer, and certainly will be fun to follow along. So I know you'll be on the radio call. Obviously, is that going to be also what's on the ESPN Plus?
Good question, and the answer to that is no. So ESPN Plus, this is a Scripps game.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, right.
Scripps
has the rights to the Montana State games, most of them. Okay, when they go out on the road or sometimes even at home, obviously. So Scripps is coming in. They have their own ESPN Plus production team. So my team at NAU TV will not be producing this game. So my color guy, my sideline guy, we will only be doing the NAU radio network only. But you know what? That's okay too, because as long as we're a part of the game, as long as we're, I'm above the field and calling the play-by-play for whoever is listening in online or on the radio, that's all that matters. I just can't wait to call the game, right? I can't wait to be in the Sky Dome and feel the atmosphere, see the pregame tailgate partying going on outside the Sky Dome. And hey, look, we're starting to become quite well known for our pregame tailgating. It's starting to become legit, man. It is cool out there. And even some of the other schools' teams, they come in and they go, "Holy cow, guys, we didn't realize you guys tailgate like this in Flagstaff. This is awesome." Right? And that's cool too, that whole game day atmosphere, right? And having that in place too is just, it's perfect. It's fall. Let's go, man. Let's play some Big Sky football in the Sky Dome and see what happens at the end of the day.
Well, it's going to be an exciting Saturday, and we really appreciate all the insight, man. Good catching up.
Always good to talk with you, Colter. Thanks for having me on, brother. Good to have you. Sorry you won't be here.
Meeting her stopped your world. The ring you give her should stop her heart.
Tina, will you marry me?
Not again! Don't worry, I'm gonna fix this. Because we want to be your jeweler on our beautiful diamond! Clear! Come back to me, Tina!
Are you okay?